They used my money to throw a beach party for my brother, on the same day they skipped my graduation. And when I got home, I found a gift they'd regifted back to me, with my own handwriting still on the card. "Hi, I'm Sienna." And on the day I should have felt proudest, I learned just how invisible I'd become to the people I kept saving. Ever been the one who gave everything and still got left behind? Stick around, because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about the quiet moment I decided I was done being everyone's backup plan. What would you do if your family forgot the biggest day of your life? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. Now let me take you back to where it all started. They made it to the beach for my brother, but forgot the girl who funded it all. I stood on the edge of the lawn, my gown clinging to my calves in the June breeze, mortarboard tilting with each gust like it too wanted to be somewhere else. People cheered around me, hugs were thrown like confetti, and camera flashes burst from proud parents. I clapped politely when names were called, smiled when they took their photos. I even posed for a stranger's mom who mistook me for a classmate she never met. I didn't correct her. At least someone wanted a picture with me today. I kept checking the crowd behind the cordoned-off rows of chairs, scanning for Loretta's lavender hat or Troy's tall frame or Camille's bright red lipstick. I'd told them the ceremony started at 9 a.m. sharp. I'd texted reminders. I even sent the parking pass PDF twice. By 9:45, I stopped looking. Someone's dad next to me leaned over with a kind smile. "Where's your family, sweetheart?" I smiled back, barely. "Running late." At 10:03, my phone buzzed. Not a text. An Instagram notification. Renee had tagged me in a comment. "Wait, didn't your family say they were out of town for a funeral?" The post above it was a video. I tapped it. Troy, shirtless, lifted a drink in slow motion, waves crashing behind him in Cancun. Loretta's voice, unmistakable, laughed off screen. "To Troy's first record deal, our dreamer made it." Camille raised a glass, leaned into the frame, and winked. "Family over everything." I froze. The caption read, "We don't miss the milestones that matter." I blinked. Blinked again. The sun suddenly felt too harsh. I sat back down, the fake diploma folder sweating in my hand. A loud round of applause burst around me as another row of graduates was called. I didn't move. The sound felt far away, like underwater noise. My own name was long gone by now. Unclaimed. Uncelebrated. A photographer passed by, glancing at me with a silent offer. I shook my head. There was no one to frame the moment with me. No one to lift their arms in pride. The spot next to me, in every imaginary picture, remained painfully, professionally empty. I opened my banking app. The $2,000 I'd sent last week, emergency medical help for Loretta, was gone. And they hadn't just taken the money. They'd taken the day too. I left quietly after the recessional. No photos, no dinner. The reservation I'd made for 6 at Paloma's Steakhouse, still standing. I'd even placed a deposit, $300, non-refundable. Camille had texted earlier that week, "Can't wait to toast you. Proud of you, sis." No one showed. I canceled the second glass of wine I'd ordered and let the table sit empty while the waiter cleared the 6th unused plate. Walking out, I passed a group of graduates laughing under a balloon arch, posing with families, sorority sisters, proud grandparents. I stepped through them like a ghost. A slow-motion clip, if anyone had filmed it, would have shown me alone, moving against a wave of celebration I was never part of. Back home, I walked into silence. My apartment still smelled like the lemon hairspray I'd used that morning. The sticky note beside my mirror still read, "Smile. They'll show up." I didn't bother peeling it off. On the kitchen counter, a gold box waited for me, Camille's handwriting on the tag. "So proud of you. Love us." Inside, a scarf, pale blue silk. I stared at it for a full minute before I registered the snag on the corner, near the seam. I had bought this for Loretta last Christmas. I remembered the brand, the packaging. I remembered the exact shade because she'd said, "This is too cold of a color for my tone," and never wore it. I pulled out the card tucked beneath. "So proud of you. Love, us." But beneath the fresh black ink, faint and ghostly under the right light, I saw my own handwriting. Last year's message. They'd recycled the card, reused the scarf, and rewritten me right off the page. I placed it all back in the box with steady hands. As I passed through the living room, I caught sight of the old gray suitcase still leaning against the hallway wall, the same one I brought back from Boulder 2 months ago after canceling a weekend trip to help Loretta with a burst pipe. She'd said she called Troy first, but you know how boys are. I never even unpacked it. Then I walked to my laptop. I opened my old airline account, the one I'd once used to book flights for the whole family, back when it was easier if you handled it, honey. I clicked into My Trips. Their booking was still there. Denver to Cancun. Loretta Jennings. Troy Jennings. Booked using miles I'd banked before they expired. I hovered over the return leg. Modify reservation blinked in blue. I clicked. And then, very calmly, I changed everything. Economy basic. No carry-on luggage. Middle seats. No refund allowed. I saved the itinerary. Then I opened the Notes app. I titled the document, Debt of Disrespect, Itemized. And I wrote the first line, Graduation Day, Cost of Silence, $2,000. The click of the keyboard echoed in the quiet like a gavel. Final. Unapologetic. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. There wasn't anything left to unravel. Only the list. And this time, I'd be the one keeping score. It started with a notification I almost missed. A soft ping from my credit card app while I stirred my coffee. Transaction approved. $149.32. Azul Spa, Cancun. My hand paused mid-stir. I hadn't used that card in months, at least not for anything personal. My chest tightened. I opened the app, then the transaction history. There they were, line after line, resort room charges, poolside drinks, breakfast for 2 at some place called Mar y Sol, all from the family card, the same family card I'd added them to years ago, just in case. I had forgotten I never removed them. Until now. I closed the app, set the mug down, and reached for my laptop. The sun hadn't even fully risen yet. The light filtering through my kitchen window was soft and cold, like everything else lately. My fingers moved with a calm I didn't know I possessed. Open bank account. Deactivate Loretta's access. Remove Troy as authorized user. Cancel automatic grocery shipments. Pause streaming subscriptions. Change passwords. Click, click, click. Years of invisible giving unraveled with a few decisive strokes. Loretta once told me I had a gift for handling things smoothly. She wasn't wrong. But this wasn't smooth. This was surgical. Camille used to call me the safety net. Funny how no one asks the net how it feels holding everyone up. One by one, I severed the threads. Netflix, canceled. Spotify family plan, adjusted to individual. Amazon Fresh, deleted address home, mom's. Apple Music, removed Troy's device. Hulu, logged out of all devices. I changed the shared Google Calendar we'd used for family planning to private. Deleted all past events. I didn't need reminders of Troy's fake job interviews or Camille's prenatal yoga alerts. Then I opened the airline app again. I knew the booking was still active. I'd made it myself, back when I thought a vacation was something you planned together, not something they stole to celebrate someone else. Loretta and Troy's return flight was set for 2 days from now. I clicked Modify Reservation. Cabin class, economy basic, baggage, personal item only. Seat selection, randomized. Priority boarding, removed. Change fees, locked. The new itinerary loaded, stark and impersonal. No frills, no upgrades. Just enough to get them back. With exactly what they gave me. The minimum. As the system processed the change, I poured myself another cup of coffee. A message popped up on my phone. Card declined. Azul Spa. Then another. Card declined. In-room minibar. Then another. Loretta. Is there a problem with the bank? Everything's getting declined. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a folder on my desktop titled Unbilled Contributions. Inside it were files I'd begun curating after graduation. I dragged in a new screenshot. The Azul Spa transaction. Renamed it Luxury on My Dime, 06.17. Another ping. This time, a WhatsApp message from Renee. They're freaking out. Someone overheard your mom arguing with the hotel desk. Troy said something about not being able to access the lounge. I closed my eyes. Not in satisfaction. Not in guilt. Just in clarity. I didn't owe them comfort anymore. Have you ever realized, too late, that you were everyone's safety net but no one's priority? That your love was a lifeline for others but never a landing place for yourself? If that hit a little too close, leave a comment with the number 7 below. Now let's see how I decided to stop saving everyone, except myself. For years, I paid the emotional interest on their irresponsibility. I paid in phone calls at 2 a.m., in wire transfers, in rescheduled trips, in gift cards for just a little help. I paid with silence and smiles. I paid with presence. Now they could pay for their own damn coffee. I returned to the airline app and confirmed the change. The screen blinked. Your modifications have been saved. Thank you for flying. There was something poetic about that line. I screen captured it too. Added it to the folder. Then, for no reason other than to make it real, I said aloud to the empty room, "You're welcome." At noon, I checked the mailbox. Inside was a flyer from Paloma's, the same restaurant I'd booked for graduation. Celebrating 15 years. Free glass of wine with your meal. I smiled bitterly. They still remembered me better than my own family did. Later that afternoon, I opened my email and typed out a message to Camille. Subject, billing reminder. Body. Please see attached for the recent charges accrued on the family card. Effective today, all accounts have been closed. Enjoy your vacation. I hovered over send, then deleted the message. She wouldn't get it. They never did. Instead, I opened my notes app and scrolled back to the document I started on graduation day. Debt of disrespect, itemized. I added a new line. Unauthorized luxury charges, $745.63, removed. Then I sat back, letting the number settle into the digital silence. They might never notice the exact moment I stopped being useful, but I would. You wanted luxury on my silence. Let me offer you turbulence instead. I imagined Loretta's face the moment she hit the airline app and realized she couldn't check in. It was probably around 6 a.m. Cancun time, her preferred window of pre-check perfection. Hair fixed, voice calm, latte in hand. She would have tapped the app, expected her usual "Welcome back, Loretta" screen, and instead been greeted by a glitchy message. Check-in unavailable, please see desk. I didn't need to be there to see it. I knew her patterns too well. I had lived inside them. The sun had just started warming my apartment in Denver when Renee's text arrived. They're at the airport. Something's off. Your mom looks pissed. I stretched, set my coffee down, and opened the airline app just to confirm what I already knew. Return flight. Locked. Seat. Unassigned. Status. Economy basic. Baggage. 0. Perfect. My phone buzzed again. This time, a notification from the airline. Travel advisory. Guest Loretta Jennings requested counter support due to seat assignment confusion. Of course she did. The memory of her berating a Southwest agent for moving her from an aisle to a middle seat during a trip to Phoenix still lived rent-free in my head. I pictured her now, trying to stay calm in her pale linen pantsuit, clutching a pink passport wallet with "Family First" embossed in gold foil. Probably barking at some poor agent named Julia, who didn't make the rules and couldn't undo what the system had already confirmed. Meanwhile, Troy, hungover from the last margarita round, would be trailing behind with his overstuffed backpack and a neck pillow slung like a trophy. They'd be separated, intentionally. I unchecked seats together with great pleasure. It wasn't revenge. It was realism. They had always traveled first class on my generosity. Now they were flying on their own merit. Renee sent another message. OMG, Troy just asked the agent if he could upgrade using emotional hardship. Then, your mom's credit card just declined. Again. I nearly snorted into my tea. Their vacation was ending the same way it had started, with me quietly rewriting the terms. I leaned back and stared at the screen. The silence in my apartment was intentional now. Controlled. Peaceful. I checked the time. Boarding would begin soon. I imagined them waiting in Group 9, clutching boarding passes without assigned seats, listening to a gate agent cheerfully call for priority flyers, platinum members, business class passengers. A list they were no longer on. And then the final insult, being assigned 2 middle seats. Not together. No legroom. Just space. Tight and necessary. Another message from Renee. They're on the plane. Troy's next to a crying toddler. Loretta just told a flight attendant she has a neck condition and shouldn't be in the middle. I smiled. I hadn't done this to punish them. I had done it to reflect them. They hadn't considered what I needed when they skipped my graduation, when they used my money to toast Troy, when they regifted me a scarf I once wrapped in love and received back as obligation. This flight was their mirror. I opened my notes app again. Debt of disrespect, itemized. New line, return flight downgrade, $89 in dignity reclaimed. An hour later, I got the email. Subject, thank you for flying. Inside, their itinerary. Confirmation that they'd landed. No incident reports, no upgrades, no thank yous. Then came Loretta's text. This isn't funny, Sienna. We're family. Don't drag everyone down with your attitude. I didn't respond. I archived it. Another came in from Camille. I'm trying to help Mom stay calm. Don't make this worse. We're trying to keep things civil. Civil? They skipped my milestone, rewrote my worth. And when they felt turbulence, they cried foul. I felt nothing but stillness. Later that night, as I folded laundry, I pulled out the sweatshirt I'd worn to help Loretta move last year, back when she insisted we keep her name on the mortgage, just for appearances. The sleeves still smelled faintly of that awful citrus cleaner she used. I tossed it in the donate pile. My phone vibrated again. This time, it was a message from the airline app. Feedback request. How was your recent trip? I laughed. I opened the survey. Q. Did your changes improve your experience? A. Yes. Q. Would you make the same changes again? A. Absolutely. Q. Additional comments? A. Sometimes, turbulence is necessary for altitude. You kept the gifts. Forgot the giver. Here's the invoice. There's something oddly calming about spreadsheets. Maybe it's the order, the columns, the way numbers sit still. They don't talk back. They don't gaslight. They don't ask you why you're making such a big deal. They don't forget. That's probably why, at 7:12 a.m. on a Thursday, I was at my kitchen table with my laptop open, a strong coffee in one hand, and a tab titled Unbilled Emotional and Financial Charges. Outside, the morning light barely filtered in. Pale and cold. Like it, too, didn't want to disturb the quiet. There were already 19 line items. Rent covered for Troy, $1,400. Camille's baby shower, $680. Loretta's emergency dental, $712. Christmas dinner for 14. Hosted at my place, $1,050. Loan to cover a tax shortfall, $2,000. No thank yous, no repayments. Not even a text saying, "Got it." Just expectations dressed up as normal. I typed a new one. Post-grad gift regifted to sender. Value, emotional. I didn't assign $1 to that one, but it hurt more than most. Another row. Graduation steakhouse deposit forfeited, $300. I paused. Then I added a bold header to the top of the sheet. This is what silence looks like. The irony? They always told me not to keep score. Camille once said it with a smile when I brought up that Troy had borrowed from me 4 months in a row. "We don't do that in this family," she said, swirling wine. Well, maybe I do now. I exported the spreadsheet to PDF and gave it a new name. Contributions rendered, acknowledgement pending.pdf. Then I composed an email. Plain, no sarcasm, no digs, just numbers. 2. Loretta, Camille, Troy. Subject, for your records body. Please find attached a breakdown of all contributions I've made over the last 5 years. No response required, just context. As I hit send, the quiet in my apartment became sharper, thick with the weight of what I'd just done. Even the gentle click of the return key echoed. There was no satisfying swoosh, just stillness. Not 2 minutes later, a notification appeared. Camille was typing. Her message came through in 3 neatly spaced bubbles. "I think you're trying to hurt Mom. This isn't healthy. We all give in different ways." I stared at it for a moment, then typed back. Neither was covering 3 mortgages alone. She didn't respond. Another message came in, this time from Loretta. "You always took things too personally. That's why no one includes you." Ah, there it was. The thesis. It wasn't that they took from me. It was that I noticed. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked over to my bookshelf, pulled out the thick manila folder where I kept all my adulting papers, and added a printed copy of the spreadsheet. On the front, I wrote in red Sharpie, "This is who you erased." Then I walked back to my laptop and attached the same file to a BCC email I sent to my Aunt Roberta, the only relative who once looked me in the eye when I offered to pay for Uncle Jerry's hospital bed. No explanation. Just the file. Let them whisper. Let them spin. But I wouldn't let them erase me again. Later that afternoon, I got a message from Troy. I didn't ask for any of that. I opened my banking app. February, $650 to Troy Jennings. Memo. Urgent, being evicted. I took a screenshot, added it to a new folder on my desktop titled Gaslighting Attempts, and filed it under his name. Then I opened my photos. There it was. Camille's baby shower. Balloons, champagne, smiling women in pastel dresses. I had arranged the entire thing, paid for the catering, even hung the streamers. I wasn't in a single photo. Next, Christmas Eve. Loretta in her red cardigan. Troy holding a gift. Camille laughing at the table. I had taken the picture. Next, the fundraiser at the community center. Loretta in pearls, smiling next to the mayor, plaque in hand. A caption in the newsletter later called her the beating heart of the Jennings legacy. I was the anonymous donor. I cropped none of it. I just pasted all 3 into a Word document titled Pattern. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. Instead, I pulled back further, remembered how many times I'd stood behind the camera, always adjusting the angle, always saying, "You look great," always unseen. Just before sunset, a delivery arrived. A small white box with no return address. Inside, A lavender-scented candle with a tag that read, "Breathe. We love you." It was from Camille. I knew her handwriting too well. No apology, no note, just wax and smell and implication. I lit the candle, watched the wax melt slowly under the dimming light. Its soft scent filled the apartment like a memory that didn't belong. Then, without ceremony, I set it on the bathroom sink and walked out. The shadows in the hallway stretched long across the floor. The sky outside turned from silver to slate. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't need symbolism. I needed separation. If you came here to unload guilt, try the baggage claim downstairs. I knew she'd show up eventually. Loretta never did let other people write the ending. She was the kind of woman who stayed behind after a party to rearrange centerpieces, who offered to host holidays even when no one asked, who'd rather force a goodbye than be forced out. So when the knock came, 2 soft raps, evenly spaced. I didn't flinch. I didn't check the peephole. I just opened the door. And there she was. Pastel coat. Lipstick perfect. A gift bag in one hand and a rolling suitcase in the other. She looked like she had stopped by after brunch. Like this was a casual visit, a drop-in, a peace offering that no one requested. "I thought we could talk," she said, like adults. I didn't say anything. I stepped aside. She entered like she always had, assured, controlled, like she owned the air between walls. Her eyes scanned the apartment. I knew what she saw. Nothing had changed. Not the art on the walls. Not the photo of me and Dad near the bookshelf. Not the silence. She sat on the edge of the couch, careful not to wrinkle her pants. I know how things looked. "Do you?" I asked. "I mean, we didn't forget you, Sienna. We just thought maybe, after what happened, you needed space." I stood near the kitchen counter, arms crossed. "What happened, Loretta, is that you skipped my graduation and threw a party for Troy, with my money." She flinched at my use of her name. She always hated when I used it like that. She preferred Mom, the version that came with loyalty baked in. "I just think there were misunderstandings," she said, tone shifting now. "And well, you're not always the easiest person to..." "To what?" I said, letting it hang. "Talk to," she finished. "You hold on to things." I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "I do, especially receipts." She shifted. "That's not fair." "What's not fair is pretending I haven't been subsidizing this family like a silent shareholder. Have you ever stood up for yourself so calmly it startled the very people who counted on your silence? That moment when your boundaries speak louder than your rage. If you've ever reclaimed your power without raising your voice, drop a 9 in the comments. Let's see how I continued that quiet revolution." She placed the gift bag gently on the coffee table, like it might explode if set down too hard. "I brought you something. Thought it might... help?" I didn't look inside. "I'm not interested in parting gifts." "It's not a parting gift," she snapped, then caught herself. Her smile returned, thinner now. "Just a gesture." "Of what?" "Of love," she whispered. "Of remembering." I finally looked at her directly. "Funny, you remembered the gift, but forgot the graduate." That stopped her. I walked to the bookshelf and pulled out a folder I'd been waiting to use, the same one I added to each week, the same one I labeled in red ink. "This is who you've been talking about behind my back." I handed her one page. It was a line-by-line printout of every financial contribution I'd made to the family over the past 5 years. Dates, amounts. No emotion, just the data. She took it, scanned it quickly, then stiffened. Her fingers clenched the page. "This isn't..." she started. "This is..." I interrupted. She stood up, her shoulders tensed. "You're going to regret this once you're alone." I walked past her toward the trash can and dropped the gift bag in without looking inside. I didn't slam it. I didn't make a scene. I just let it fall. Quietly. Finally. I've already been alone, I said. This time, it's by choice. Loretta stared at me for a long moment. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her expression wasn't anger. It was something worse. Recognition. She turned toward the door. Paused. Camille thinks you're spiraling. I didn't move. Camille can think whatever she wants. She always does. At the door, Loretta looked back one last time. You think distance gives you power, but it just makes you easy to forget. I smiled. Then I guess we're even. She left. The lock clicked behind her like punctuation. I stood in the silence she left behind, not heavy, but hollow. I turned to the suitcase she left by the door. A symbolic relic, I guessed. Or maybe just another manipulation. Inside, I found photographs. Some framed. Some are loose. All curated to remind me of the family I no longer belong to. A few legal documents. A photocopy of a title transfer with my name missing. A passive-aggressive letter handwritten in Camille's curvy script. No one meant to hurt you. And at the bottom, folded neatly, the same scarf I'd been gifted. Again. I closed the suitcase and shoved it into the closet. Then I opened my laptop. Check my inbox. The attorney had replied. All title removals finalized. Your name has been cleared from all shared assets. Effective immediately. A full extraction. I leaned back, letting the weight of it settle. Not on me, but off me. Later that night, I lit the last of the 3 wick candles Edith had given me and scrolled to a folder I'd named Closure Files. I opened the newest document and added the title, Luggage Claimed. And underneath it, I wrote, Today, I unpacked nothing, and still left lighter than ever before. Some departures don't need a goodbye, just a gate number and peace. I didn't set an alarm. My body woke on its own, like it knew today didn't require urgency, only clarity. The apartment was silent, the kind of soft, earned quiet that used to scare me. Now, it felt like a room breathing with me. No emails from Camille, no group texts, no obligations waiting. Just me, the hum of the coffee machine, and the low morning light slipping through the blinds. I moved slowly. The suitcase was already open from the night before, half filled with decisions I no longer needed to explain. I folded the last of my sweaters. Gray, soft, safe. A pair of sneakers I'd worn to 3 different emergencies for Loretta. My charger cable. A framed photo of Dad and me standing ankle-deep in a lake, summer light caught in our hair, laughter frozen in time. Next to the suitcase sat the laptop. I opened it one more time, not to check email, but to close tabs. One by one, I exited out of every shared document, every calendar marked family. I hovered over the group chat, Family Unity SOS. Then I tapped Leave Conversation. No warning, no pop-up asking if I was sure, just a clean silence. I paused by the mirror in the hallway. No makeup, no expression to perform. Just my face, finally not asking anyone to read it. The digital clock blinked 7:36 a.m. My flight left at 10:15. Destination, Phoenix. Not far. Not flashy. Just a start. On the kitchen counter, I left a sticky note. Handled what I needed. No further responses required. I didn't know who it was for. Maybe just me. The hallway outside was dim and quiet. Fluorescent lights hummed faintly. My suitcase wheels echoed as I rolled it toward the elevator. Soft, rhythmic, like punctuation to an ending I didn't have to narrate anymore. In the elevator, I checked my phone. 1 missed call. No voicemail. I opened the settings tab and removed the last shared payment method. Grocery delivery. Gone. Spotify family. Cancelled. Cloud storage. Unlinked. None of these required permission. Only resolve. At the airport, the air felt colder. Not from the weather, just the difference between destination and departure. I moved through security with practiced ease, no extra bags, no questions, no boarding pass to adjust. I sat by gate B12, near a window. Outside, the tarmac reflected the morning sun like silver glass. Luggage carts rolled past. A toddler giggled nearby. Overhead, a woman's voice read off flight numbers in a practiced, monotone rhythm. None of it demanded my attention. I sipped my coffee slowly, letting the heat settle into my hands. For years, I had arrived early for everyone else, for their events, their emergencies, their celebrations. Always behind the camera, always just out of frame. Now, I was here early, for myself. When the boarding group was called, I didn't rush. I walked with steady steps, the weight of the carry-on nothing compared to the silence I'd finally learned to hold without shame. I found my seat, 23A window, quiet, no fanfare. The woman in 23C glanced over. Headed home? I smiled. Number just somewhere I can start over. The plane filled. The aisle buzzed. Overhead bins snapped shut like punctuation marks. A family 3 rows back laughed over snacks. The air thickened with the scent of coffee and cabin cleaner citrus. The intercom buzzed. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. I fastened my seatbelt, watched the sunlight crawl across the wing as the plane backed out. My phone vibrated. A message from Loretta. We're not perfect, but you didn't have to make this permanent. I stared at it for a moment, then hit archive. No anger, no sadness, just an understanding. They'd call it abandonment. But I called it preservation. I opened the Notes app. What I owe myself. Chapter 1. I typed slowly, deliberately. Lesson 1. You're allowed to leave the table when love is no longer being served. The wheels lifted from the runway. Denver shrank beneath us, a miniature city wrapped in gray and light. I didn't look back. The ascent was smooth. The wing cut through the sky, clean and steady. By the time we reached cruising altitude, I had already closed the app. I pulled out the book Dad gave me, the cover soft at the corners. Inside, tucked into the crease of Chapter 4, was the letter. His handwriting, steady, slanted. Giving isn't weakness, but giving without boundaries becomes self-erasure. I reread it, folded it back, looked out the window. The clouds below unfurled like a quiet runway. Software open. Mine. There was no destination set in stone, no speech to recite, no person waiting to forgive me for becoming whole. Just sky. And one seat. Finally mine. I left, not in anger, but in freedom. No more midnight calls, no more shared accounts, no more hollow messages. Just me, a single seat, and a path that finally belongs to me. I've learned this. Kindness is not a debt, and silence should never be the cost of family. If you keep paying for mistakes that aren't yours, all you're doing is letting others determine the value of your worth. What about you? Have you ever had to walk away from people just to find your peace again? Share your story in the comments. I'm here for anyone learning how to stand up for themselves. And if you're drawn to stories of clarity, self-worth, and justice, don't forget to subscribe. The next story might be the one you need to hear.